Salamander dude, SaiyanSalamander here, and I'm back with another Fire Emblem Heroes Weapon Refinery video. So far I've talked about remaking some old refines in my Re-Finery series, and I've also talked about what some staff units could look like with refines in my latest refinery video. This time though, I want to talk about another class of heroes that I've yet to get a refine. And no, I'm not talking about beast units. I think it's still a bit too early for them to get a refine. I'm talking about seasonal refines. There are a ton of Gen 1 seasonals who are really outdated, and some of them weren't even good units when they got released. So I definitely think it's high time we got some refines for these seasonal units. And some good ones too, considering how rare they are. I'm going to start things off with the very first seasonal banner, the Spring Festival banner, and make new seasonal refines in the order that they got released. So let's kick things off in this video with our first unit, Spring Crom. Spring Crom is a 158 BST Axe Infantry unit, with 43 HP, 35 attack, 32 speed, 28 defense, and 20 resistance. His original weapon that he got released with was the Carraxe Mt. It's an inheritable 14 might axe that heals the unit for 4 HP after combat. The other 3 units on the banner all had inheritable weapons with the exact same effect, but I didn't want to give all 4 units similar weapons by keeping the same base effect, and I didn't think I needed to, considering none of them have that effect as their preferred weapon. So for the inspiration behind the designs, I tried looking more into their characters in general to try come up with what skills and effects would suit their character. So let's go into Crom's new spring weapon, Breaking Carraxe. To start things off with the base weapon, it gives +3 attack in order to strengthen his strongest stat. I also made it effective on beast and dragon foes, since Crom was always fighting with Arisen and Awakening. And considering how there isn't a monster class in Fae, I felt like making it effective against beasts was a close enough reference. I also made the weapon effective against dragons, since Crom's main preferred weapon, the Falchion, is also effective against dragons, which is why I decided to make the weapon effective against dragons and beast units. For the main effect of Breaking Carraxe, I gave Crom Heavy Blade 4, since I feel it suited his character and Crom's attack can get really high. With his 19 might weapon, dragon flowers, merges, and a boon, Crom can reach all the way up to 64 attack. Plus, I think Heavy Blade as a skill just suits Crom, since he's always breaking stuff during his training, which is partially where I got the inspiration for his preferred weapon name. The other inspiration for the name came from his Refine skill. I basically gave Crom a Dragon and Beast Breaker 4 skill, meaning that Crom makes a guaranteed follow-up attack on a beast and dragon foe before they can counter-attack, and the foe can't make a follow-up attack either. This makes Crom stand out amongst other infantry axe units, and gives Indonesia being able to shut down almost any dragon and beast unit. And he's also got the attack stat to make quick work of a lot of other types of units too, especially after receiving some support from his allies. Moving on from Crom, let's talk about his daughter for a minute, Spring Lucina. Lucina's spring variation is a 147 BST Blue Mage, who has some pretty low stats across the board with 35 HP, 29 attack, 22 defense, and 25 resistance. Her only real standout stat is speed at 36, and even then there are plenty of other units with higher stats across the board, including speed, and are more unique by having preferred weapons as well. Like Crom, Lucina's original weapon, Blue Egg Plus, is an inheritable weapon that allows the unit to gain 4 HP after combat. And also like Crom, I decided to go with a completely different effect for a preferred weapon. Fire Emblem Awakening spoilers inbound for where I got the inspiration for a weapon, just in case you're one of the few people who don't know who Lucina is. I named this weapon Future Season, and trying to reference time travel a lot in her weapon. To start with, I gave Lucina +3 speed in order to strengthen her strongest stat, and accelerate her special cooldown as well. For the main effect, I gave her Times Pulse, because we haven't seen it built into a weapon yet, and going by the naming of it, I can't think of a better character to give the skill built into their weapon. As for the refine, I essentially gave her a conditional drive Times Pulse. If any ally within 2 spaces has 1 less speed than Lucina, then she grants the skill Times Pulse to said unit. Honestly, I don't know if this skill is a bit too good, but if it needs nothing, I'd say it only works on odd numbered turns. I think the refine really combos well with the rest of her weapon though. She can quickly charge up her own special and get a boost in speed in order to make it easier for Lucina to activate her refine effect and grant the skill to her allies too. This weapon makes Lucina a really unique support unit too, since there aren't any skills or weapons that can accelerate allies' special cooldown after turn 1 as far as I know. And by accelerating her own special cooldown, it helps her sister in being more of an offensive unit too, by using her special move more often. Moving on to the Spring Festival unit who's probably in the most desperate need for a buff in my opinion, it's Spring Xander. He's a 154 BST Lance Cavalier, who has some good mixed bulk but definitely needs some work in order to stand out amongst this competitive class. Xander has 40 HP, 25 attack, 28 speed, 35 defense, and 26 resistance. He also has a super boon in attack and resistance as well, and a super bane in HP and speed, so you might need to be careful of boons and banes if you only have 1 copy of him. Xander has the same effect as other characters on this banner with his Carraxe Mt Plus that he originally comes with. But unlike the other characters in this video, I actually decided to keep and improve his original weapon's effect, rather than change them completely. Xander's throwing away that old Carraxe Lance and replacing it with his brand new weapon, Springfried. I figured most people would go for an attack boon on Xander in order to try and fix his dreadful attack stat. So I decided to have the weapon boost his other boon stat, Resistance, so that you can give both stats a boost, or you can just fully invest in res instead. For the base weapon, I improved Carraxe Lance's original effect by having Xander gain 8 HP after combat instead of 4, meaning that he's the perfect unit to run Fury for, since he can balance out the damage he takes from Fury, and still gain a much needed stat boost from the skill as well. I also added Distant Counter to this weapon, since this weapon is an Easter pun on his original preferred weapon, Siegfried, so I wanted to reference it more by keeping its main effect to counter attack from any distance. Finally, for the Refine, I tried to reference Xander's personal skill in Fates, Chivalry, by having his Refine activate if the enemy is at 100% HP. But like some other Refines with this kind of effect, I made it so that the Refine activates when the enemy's health is full, or when Xander has been attacked by the enemy. If either condition is met, then Xander will gain +3 to all of his stats, and it will also inflict a guard effect on the foe as well, making him an incredible mixed tank, being able to take hits from even some of the most powerful of green units. I think this weapon references Xander's skill set in Fates well, while also being able to fix his low BST from being a Gen 1 unit if the right skill set is used on him, making him a very tough unit to take down in combat. Last but certainly not least, we move on to my favourite character on this banner, as well as the only character from the Spring Festival banner I've actually managed to summon so far. It's the eldest princess of Noor herself, Camilla. Funnily enough, I actually spoke about Camilla's original ult in my first Fae Refinery video, so this will be the second Camilla Refine that I talk about in a Fae Refinery video, and with her many ults I'm bound to talk about her again some more. Spring Camilla is a 148 BST green mage flyer, our first flying mage in fact. I remember when she first came out, a lot of people, including myself, ended up sacrificing a 5-star Nino in order to give her Ground Blade since it combos well with flyer buffs. Spring Camilla has 39 HP, 35 attack, 30 defense, 19 resistance, and 25 speed with a super boon in the stat as well. While not bad, her stat spread is a little weird since mages usually have higher resistance and defense. Combined with the fact that she's a flyer, she's not going to take an arrow very well, even with a high defense. So for her new weapon, Bountiful Basket, I decided to try and accommodate to a unique stat line with their weapon's effect. To start with, I gave her an additional +3 speed, since her speed stat is pretty workable with enough investment and a super boon. So I figured I'd help her out more by giving another +3 to the stat. I also neutralised foes effective against flyer bonus, so Camilla can finally make use of her decent defense stat by tanking some archers and giving them a good old spell to the face. To end things off with a base weapon, I gave her Ground Blade Plus since it's a great tone for flyers and it's what most people run on her anyway. I originally was going to give Camilla Close Foil for a Refine, but after seeing Shinlon's double bow, I felt like I could get better. So instead, if Camilla is within 2 spaces of a flyer unit, she gains attack, defense, speed, res +5 and can counter from any distance. I figured this isn't too broken looking at double bow since that also got a fairly easy activation condition. And besides, Spring Camilla's a Gen 1 unit, she could really use these stats. And also, since Spring Camilla was originally made to receive flyer buffs, I think it suits her really well. Overall, Spring Camilla is an interesting green mage flyer that definitely appreciates help from her allies, allowing her to inflict insane damage against her enemies. Though she does struggle against dragons, other mages, and units like Felicia who can attack her resistance. Usually I'd be talking about another unit right now, but the first few special heroes didn't actually come with any sort of Tempest Roll unit, so there isn't a 5th unit to talk about right now unfortunately. Though I'll definitely be back with some more Fae content in the future, so I hope you look forward to it when it drops. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more content like this. Also, comment down below what you thought of my refine ideas, and let me know what kind of preferred weapons and refines that you'd like to give for Spring Festival units, if you were the one that got to decide what kind of skills they used. That's all for this one, so I'll see you guys in the next video, my dudes. Bye!